Many renters across Canada live in fear.
It was scary because we didn't know what's going to happen with the building. Maybe we'll lose the apartment.
As corporations buy up older buildings,
I'm so sorry.
anxiety grows for families living in them.
You're worried about being on the street?
Yeah.
British Columbia is spending public money to help save buildings, keep rents low.
This is a homelessness prevention tool as much as anything else.
Critics say it's a waste, getting in the way of building new homes the country so desperately needs.
It's a terrible idea. It's better to take the money and throw it in the ocean.
In many Canadian neighborhoods, there are buildings like this, located in Burnaby. 41 homes right where the suburbs meet the city of Vancouver. Built in 1970, the building is showing its age. But the people who live here care about the place. There's community. I'm here to meet two mothers living one floor apart.
Hi, Marlene.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm Lyndsay, CBC News.
Marlene Ozuna Felix has lived in this one-bedroom apartment for 8 years.
This is our little living room here.
She receives income assistance and is on a wait list for subsidized housing.
There are 3 children?
3 kids, yes.
Her kids are 9, 8, and just 7 months.
Where do they sleep?
They all sleep with me.
Yes.
I only have a 1 bedroom. As you can see, everything is so
Cozy.
cramped up, yes. So we could just come out here.
The baby is sleeping, so we go to the patio.
How much do you pay for rent now?
Now it's $9.36.
$9.36 for a 1-bedroom apartment in
1
Vancouver.
bedroom, yeah.
You can't find that if you look online.
I have to stay here. This is right now what I can afford.
In fact, the average rent for a 1-bedroom in Burnaby is more than $2,300 a month. And it's not just BC that's expensive. Check out how fast rent has gone up in the past 5 years. In 2020, the national average for a 1-bedroom was just over $1,500 a month. Now, it's more than $2,200. When Felix's building was sold, she worried the new landlords would try to find ways to evict lower-paying tenants so they could charge more rent, or even demolish the building to make way for a new, higher tower.
My biggest fear is to lose it, to be on the street with my kids, right? Because this is pretty much the only place I have that I can afford right now.
So you were worried about being homeless.
I try not to think about it, but I'm sorry. Try not to, because I have 3 kids, right? I'm so sorry.
Just upstairs, more anxiety. Eliona Schutte, her husband, and their baby share this 1-room apartment. He's an electrician. She's on maternity leave. They worked 2 jobs each to avoid student loans when she worked toward her MBA.
And sleeping.
Yeah, he's sleeping.
How old?
It's 3 months and a half.
They pay just over $1,000 a month in rent.
It's such a small space, but it's great.
It's small, but it's enough. They will cling to it for as long as they can.
So tell me about the building being up for sale. What was that like?
It was scary because we didn't know what's going to happen with the building.
What was your fear?
So maybe we'll lose the apartment. Maybe they're going to evict us. Maybe they're going to build another building, so we have to go out.
What would you have done?
I just don't want to think about it.
Eviction rules vary from community to community, but the fear of having to pay higher rent is real. Just look at what happened to affordable housing across the country from 2011 to 2021. 550,000 units gone. And that doesn't even include units lost in the last 4 years as Canada's population grew.
We were losing 4 to 5 affordable units for every 1 new unit that we were building. The most affordable housing we have is the affordable housing we've already got.
Enter British Columbia's Rental Protection Fund. Katie Mazalechko is the CEO.
Nonprofits come to the fund and they first have to pre-qualify with us. They're able to access our funding that provides them with the investment that they need to still secure a mortgage, but keep the rents where they are so that they can stay affordable.
Here's how it works. Back in 2023, British Columbia announced it was getting back into the affordable housing business to the tune of $500 million.
This fund is going to preserve affordable housing for renters across BC for many years to come.
But it wasn't buying buildings or becoming a landlord. Instead, nonprofit corporations could apply for taxpayer money they wouldn't have to pay back, all so that nonprofit corporations could buy older buildings and operate them with conditions, maintain the buildings, and keep rents low so people can stay.
It's the teachers and nurses and people that make our communities run, but are so often left behind by everything else out there. You know, they do often make a little bit too much to qualify for subsidized housing, and you also see that with folks on a pension.
In 2022, nonprofits in British Columbia accounted for just 2% of multifamily purchases in BC. That's gone way up. Last year, because of the fund, nonprofits had purchased 1/3 of those properties.
Right across the province, every corner.
Each building marked with the painting on the wall at the fund's downtown Vancouver office.
We were in that one right there.
Amazing.
That's right. That Burnaby building was purchased by the nonprofit organization Aunt Leah's Properties. The low rent stays.
I came to my husband and was like, hey, listen, this is not for profit. It means that our rent's not going to go up or they're not going to evict us, right? So it's such a relief for us. It was the best feeling ever.
I mean, that's perfect. You know, there's a lot of people like me, even worse than me. I mean, not everybody can afford housing.
But there's a catch. Not everyone thinks it's a good idea to use government money to save affordable rental units, because money that's used to buy older, smaller buildings like this is money that's not being used to build more and build up.
It's counterproductive. I think I said once it's better to take the money and throw it in the ocean, because its stated purpose is to actually make sure we build less.
Andrei Pavlov is an economist with the Siegel School of Business.
This kind of fund and these ideas to protect rental buildings, they sound good on paper because you can see people who live there and you obviously don't want to disrupt them. But then the cost of that is that everyone else who is trying and wants to live in that area, they really can't because we're not building enough.
He points to this Coquitlam apartment building, one of the first purchased by BC's Rental Protection Fund. It's near public transit, an area zoned for high-rises.
It's nice, it's functional, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's a 4-story building in a place that should have really 40-story buildings.
As for displacing renters, Pavlov says the communities should follow some jurisdictions, such as the City of Vancouver, that mandate compensation and relocation for people who lose their homes.
That would be a good use for a rental protection fund, so protect the renters.
But for Mashalenko, that is the waste of money. The building costs more than preserving.
You are spending significant dollars, not like just in the capital costs alone to construct something new, but then to subsidize it to $1,000, you're spending significant public money year over year over year.
This is an important debate because the new federal government has promised to directly invest in building new homes.
We are going to build, baby, build.
And has also promised a fund that looks very similar to what's happening in BC.
We would really love to see this program scale across the country, and we've been in conversation with them throughout the better part of the last year.
The Federal Rental Protection Fund promises $1 billion in low-interest loans for nonprofits and close to $500 million in grants. The first applications were due last month.
What's happening is that if you don't mind the
When
gap,
it comes to affordable housing, Simon Fraser University's Andy Yan says the problem started decades ago when the federal government stopped building and turned the vast majority of the industry to the private sector.
we've allowed housing to become an asset, to become a hyper asset. Their business models is to extract the highest amount of rents as possible.
From your perspective, is it sort of like then the government let the private industry take over and now they can't rein it in?
I think that it's not only allowing private industry to take over, but how it became an accomplice, how governments have become an accomplice in this housing system that serves a particular population who are able to get in the game early.
So it's working for the rich and the lucky.
With governments now promising to get back in the housing game, he sees rental protection funds as part of the solution, but perhaps not a game changer.
Is a rental protection fund enough?
A rental protection fund can only be one tool in the toolkit. You need policies that both conserve housing that's both affordable and livable, and then also the need to build housing. But I think in building that housing, it's how that housing needs to meet the needs of those you're trying to house.
For the people living in the Burnaby building, there is relief these days.
This is our home. Wherever we go, it's like, Mom, I want to go home. I love it here. This is the place that I made my little bundle of home.
It makes me feel safe. I know that I have a place where I can sleep and I can raise my kids.
In fact, when Shuti and her husband learned they could stay in their studio, they decided to start their family.
So if you hadn't had this place at this price, you wouldn't have had Zion? No.
For a handful of families in a handful of buildings, the future isn't quite as scary because they get to stay home.